In the declining years of China's last imperial dynasty, a scholar made an extraordinary choice. This painting, created in 1895, shows Zhang Jian, the Qing dynasty's top scholar, dressed not for court but for the fields. A robe, a bamboo hat, a farmer's hoe. Here was a man declaring his revolution. Not long before, China had bled in the First Sino-Japanese War. The Treaty of Shimonoseki carved away territory and treasure. Zhang Jian wrote in anguish, "It has drained our nation's lifeblood and with it, our dignity." The scholar who had mastered Confucian classics now saw a harsh truth. Without industry, there could be no real sovereignty. Having reached the pinnacle of scholarly achievement, the Zhuangyuan now turned his back on officialdom. As a top degree holder, he could have risen effortlessly through the ranks. Instead, he chose to trade his silk robes for work clothes, a symbolic gesture that shocked the educated elite. He declared, "I would rather do the smallest useful deed than hold the highest disgraceful office." China must revive its industry, and the responsibility falls on scholars. From this radical vision rose the Dasheng cotton mill, the first thread in what would become an industrial tapestry. But Zhang Jian saw further. Factories needed schools, schools needed hospitals, cities needed modern foundations. 20 enterprises, 370 schools, a complete urban system, all conceived by one man. He called it education the father, industry the mother, a philosophy that birthed China's first modern city. This old photo shows the gate of early Dasheng cotton mill, where Zhang Jian embarked on his journey of industrial salvation for the nation. The defeat in 1894 Sino-Japanese War struck Zhang Jian deeply. It wasn't just a national humiliation, it was a call to action. He believed industry could save China, starting with his hometown, Tongzhou. With the support of reformist official Zhang Jian, he chose a riverside site named Tangjiazha to build the factory, which was strategically located at the confluence of Tongyang Canal and the Yangtze River. Inspired by the Confucian ideal that a greatest virtue is to nurture life, he named the mill Dasheng, Great Life, a simple but powerful mission to give people work, dignity, and hope. But the road was far from smooth. Raising funds was a struggle. Zhang Jian traveled tirelessly between Nantong and Shanghai. At its lowest point, Zhang Jian even sold his own calligraphy to cover the travel expenses. After overcoming immense difficulties, Dasheng cotton mill began trial production on March 29, 1899. On April 14th, the mill, equipped with over 20,000 spindles, officially started operations. By February 1900, it had generated a net profit of 26,850 taels of silver. Zhang Jian reinvested the profits to expand the enterprise, establishing Dasheng No. 2 Mill, No. 3 Mill, and No. 8 Mill, along with supporting businesses, forming a vast industrial group centered around the cotton mill. Today, these red brick buildings still stand as a reminder of China's early industrial era. The company that started here, Dasheng Group, remains a leader in textiles even after 100 years. Zhang Jian's legacy lives on. Every May 23rd, Nantong celebrates Entrepreneurs Day, honoring not just one man's dream, but the spirit of perseverance, innovation, and love for this land that built a modern city. We drank spring wine among flowers year after year, till seas became fields before our eyes. This poetic couplet was written by Zhang Jian at the Wangjia Tower after over a decade of managing the Tonghai Reclamation Company. The once barren tidal flats had been converted into thriving farmland through years of reclamation. Witnessing this seas-to-fields transformation, Zhang composed this in the surge of emotion. When founding the Dashan cotton mill, Zhang faced high production costs due to the reliance on imported cotton, which weakened its market competitiveness. He envisioned industrial agricultural integration as a key to securing China's textile independence. In 1901, he established Tonghai, China's first joint stock agricultural company, to cultivate domestic cotton. This area was once a poor, empty land where salt workers lived in hardship. But it changed into a place where a huge farming and migration movement began. A movement that would change its future forever. The Huanghai tidal flats, once dotted with salt-making huts, where 300 miles of smoke merged with star-like boiling pans, were transformed into the nation's largest reclaimed farmland and a vital commercial cotton base. Remarkably, Tonghai pursued not just profit, but the vision of a new world. Decades of meticulous development, schools, hospitals, roads, and urban infrastructure.
待客有堂，储物有仓，种出有土。店有庐舍，商有禅室，行有图粮，若成邑，小世界矣。
Tonghai's success not only sustained Dashan's growth but also ignited a coastal reclamation wave, boosting regional economies and heralding China's modern maritime development. By the 1980s, Nantong had emerged among China's first 14 open coastal cities. By 2021, its GDP surpassed 1 trillion yuan. From Zhang Jian's pioneering days to the modern era, Nantong, empowered by its strategic location next to Shanghai and national policy backing, has steadily risen as a dynamic hub of innovation and high-quality development. These photographs capture Guangshen Oil Mill, established by industrial pioneer Zhang Jian in 1901. Back then, this factory's cottonseed oil and cottonseed cakes were sold both domestically and internationally. Zhang Jian made his name with Dashan Cotton Mill, becoming the founding father of China's modern textile industry. But why would a textile magnate get into oil production? The answer lies in the cotton mill's own operations. When Dashan Cotton Mill commenced production in 1899, Zhang noticed that the ginning process left mountains of cotton seeds. Most were just sitting there, with only a few kept for replanting. Never one to waste resources, Zhang set up Guangshen Oil Mill as a shareholding company to squeeze every bit of value from these byproducts. This marked the beginning of Zhang Jian's grand experiment, building a self-sustaining industrial ecosystem. The oil extraction process itself created new byproducts, leftover fats that were either dumped or sold cheap as fertilizer. Zhang launched the Dalong soap factory to turn these residues into soap and candles. The innovation didn't stop there. Even the fluffy cotton waste from textile workshops found new life at Dasheng paper mill. The paper produced here served as wrapping for yarn at textile mills and supplied the hand molling printing house, which was established in 1902 by Zhang. This was industrial symbiosis before the term even existed. A century ago, Zhang Jian was already practicing what we now call circular economy, where one factory's waste became another's raw material. This visionary approach didn't just make Nantong China's first modern city in name only. It transformed people's livelihoods and established economic principles that were decades ahead of their time. This historic photograph shows Tongzhou Normal School, founded by Zhang Jian in 1902, advocating that industry and education nurture each other. Zhang pioneered a self-sustaining model, funding schools through industrial profits while training skilled professionals. This normal school became the cornerstone of its universal education vision. His idea faced strong opposition from many officials at the time. Zhang Jian returned to Nantong using over 20,000 taels of silver, what is his unpaid salary accumulated over 6 years as general director of Dasheng Cotton Mill as startup capital. He converted the Qianfo Temple in southern Nantong into the school's campus. He also persuaded the shareholders of the Dasheng Cotton Mill to allocate 1/14 of the mill's dividends for the school's operating expenses. Zhang Jian aspired to build Nantong into a model district, setting an example in education for the entire nation. In 1902, he founded Tongzhou Normal School, the first independent private teacher training institution in China. Alongside other 2 schools in Beijing and Shanghai, it became one of the 3 major pioneers of modern teacher education in China. From then on, Zhang Jian officially transitioned from an industrialist to an educator, advocating the principle that education is the father, industry the mother. Zhang Jian personally served as the school's general director and inscribed its motto: hard work, self-reliance, honesty, and integrity. This was also the first school founded by Zhang Jian. He urged students in opening speech: broaden your minds, set firm aspirations, learn from others' strength, and cultivate your own potential. He encouraged students to embrace broad visions, dedicate themselves to serving the nation. Zhang Jian oversaw the school's design and construction, meticulously attending to every detail. He also took charge of curriculum planning, faculty recruitment, and the drafting of school regulations, supervising all aspects. The school recruited Wang Guowei, a master of Chinese classics, as an instructor, and hired 7 Japanese teachers for long-term positions. Furthermore, it dispatched 3 groups totaling 14 outstanding graduates to Japan for advanced studies, cultivating the school's first cohort of homegrown faculty. Zhang Jian's establishment of the normal school represented a leap forward in educational development. From then on, the overall level of education in Nantong improved significantly. Today, Nantong is renowned nationwide as a homeland of education. The abundant fruits of Nantong's education system trace their roots back to the precious seed sown by Zhang Jian all those years ago. This historic map documents the distribution of schools in Nantong, surveyed and drawn under Zhang Jian's personal supervision in 1911. It represents China's first county-level compulsory education plan, revolutionizing Nantong's development through precise school zoning and population tracking. Zhang Jian identified universal education as a cure for China's poverty and weakness. He insisted primary education must form the foundation. During his study tour in Japan, Zhang Jian carried out methodical examinations of schools and educational institutions. He conducted targeted inspections, analyzing everything from administration to infrastructure. He personally measured classroom dimensions, even furniture sizes. On February 10, 1911, Nantong's council convened specifically to design the regional education system. Zhang proposed an ambitious standard: 1 elementary school per 16 square li. The 320 planned school sites are marked here as black and red dots. Upon completion, Shanghai publications, including The Times, celebrated it as Nantong Zhou's plan for universal education, generating significant societal attention. Between 1904 and 1926, Zhang established over 350 primary and secondary schools to realize this vision, remarkably advancing both the scale and the quality of local education. Provincial records show while Jiangsu's average enrollment reached just 13.36% in 1916, Nantong achieved 32% enrollment between 1903 to 1920, more than double the provincial average. This success established Nantong as Jiangsu's educational testing ground, with its model replicated across the province. The robust educational ecosystem and pioneering spirit cultivated by Zhang Jian during his campaign for universal compulsory education have endured for over a century, laying the enduring foundation for Nantong's celebrated status as China's renowned city of education.
Nantong International Communication Center.